Where do you live, John? O'Fallon, Missouri. All right. Now, John, while he's shaving tomorrow morning, I'm giving you some homework, and you should be writing all this down too. And this is what you're going to be doing tomorrow morning while he's bleeding. All right? I want you to maybe get that 18-year-old and get your bride and you get her on the kitchen table. You can stand up when you do this. And this is what I want you to say. Looks like it's going to be an average day in O'Fallon, Missouri. Your average dad, your average husband, going to go to his average job, put forth an average effort, so I can maintain my average paycheck to come home and support my lovely average wife and my 2 average kids. And oh, by the way, or my average son. By the way, when you go to school, C's are just fine. All right? We just want to be average. He didn't write anything down either. You want to have that meeting with your family, John?
Not in that context, no.
Don't like it, huh? Oh, here's a better idea. Who's your leader there in Louis Hughes Ford? Who's the general manager? I mean, I know Louis is. Gary? All right. Go see Gary tomorrow. Hey, boss, thanks for sending me to that seminar with this lunatic from Belleville, Illinois. Let me tell you something. It was really interesting. Here's the deal. Just wanted to make sure you understood. I'm going to give you an average effort today. And I'm going to run my average service department so that I can provide you with some average revenue so we can maintain our average net profit, because after all, you are an average dealer. Don't want to have that meeting either, do you? Is there anybody in here gets excited about average? Let's take Hunter. Well, Mr. Ely, you know, we have some average front-end equipment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it looks nice. It's nice and shiny and red, but you know, it's pretty average stuff. How many years you gentlemen been in business now?
Over 70, yeah.
Over 70 years. Didn't come about by being average. Please, the reason I spend so much time talking about average, that invariably on the break or at lunch, somebody's going to come up to me and say, hey, Don, you know, I'm not so sure I agree with what you were talking about there this morning, because, you know, in my 20 group, I don't have anybody that's doing 2.5 hours per RO. All due respect, sir, your 20 group sucks. Don't talk to me about what is your average guy's doing in your 20 group. Don't talk to me about what the average dealer's doing in St. Louis, Missouri. I don't care, and neither should you. So we're not going to talk today about what we have to do to become average in fixed operations. I want to talk to you about what we can do to become the absolute best and dominate your market. Is that all right with you, Drew? So forget about average. I don't want you sharing with me what anybody's doing in your 20 group. Don't really care. All I care about in your 20 group is the guys at the top of the page. And hopefully he's doing a good job. So real quick, where are we today in the automobile industry? All over the country. Well, service absorption, according to NADA, John said he wanted to increase service absorption. It's running about 56% nationally. We have a declining or stagnant customer base. Somebody said you want more customers coming in the door. I told you we're in owner replacement mode, not owner retention mode. We find that we have profit margins that are below industry guides. My industry guides that I use are simply NADA 20 group guides when we're talking about sales and margins. Customer pay hours per RO at an all-time low. It continues to go down. We used to be averaging about 1.5, now we're down to about 1.2. And we find that in far too many stores we have a declining net profit in fixed operations. Although I'm sure, based upon the names that I see on these 10 cards, that we have some extremely successful fixed operations managers here in this room. However, I find that there is a cancer that is absolutely rampant in the automobile industry. And the cancer is called lack of accountability. Lack of accountability. The good news is that the cancer is 100% curable. We can cure it. But we have this phenomenon of lack of accountability when it comes to service and parts and collision centers. And the lack of accountability that I'm talking about, I'm really directing more towards dealers and general managers, and to some degree service directors. But here are some examples. Let's compare. As Mr. Evelyn knows, if I was a salesperson in his store and the best I can do is sell 4 or 5 cars a month, what do you think he's going to do with me? What do you think, John? What's going to happen if I can only move 5 units a month? Dealer's going to hit the eject button, right? And I'm sailing out the front door. There is a kinder, gentler option, right? We can evaluate my strengths if I have any. We can evaluate my weaknesses, and we can retrain me on how to do the steps that are necessary to achieve your minimum expectations of, let's say, 12 units. And then I'm a keeper. But if you retrain me again, John, I'm still stuck at 5, you're going to hit the eject button and I'm down the road. Hopefully I'll go to work for one of your competitors. Sell 5 cars for them. John says yes, that's what's going to happen. But hey, I can be a service advisor writing 1.2 hours per hour, got a job for life. When I ask you, why do you tolerate 1.2 hours per hour? I'm not talking about a quick lube advisor. I'm talking about a main shop advisor writing 1.2. Now, Ken was in one here last month doing 6/10. How can you do 6/10 of an hour per repair order? I mean, you got to be paying customers to say no at 6/10. Huh? How can you possibly do 6/10? And quick lube advisors can do an hour. Anyway, I drive by, the leader said, well, Don, you don't understand. This is St. Louis. Don, you don't understand. This is Kansas City. Don, you don't understand. This is Little Rock. Don, you don't understand. This is New York. Don, you don't understand. This is Southern California. And we hear it all over the country. Don, you don't understand. I couldn't find anybody that could do it any better. Really? I can grab the person that delivered those donuts this morning, whoever that person might have been. I can assure you, with about 3 days worth of training, they can be doing 2 hours per hour. If they do what it takes to be a successful advisor. Very often, if I'm an F&I manager, and the best I can do is produce $200 per retail unit. Tom, what do you think is going to happen to me if I'm an F&I producer at Lou Buick Fuse? Lou Fuse Buick doing $200 a car.
He's going to get some more training.
A lot of it, right? But hey, I can be a service manager running 80% sharp productivity, everybody's happy. Don, you don't understand. St. Louis, this is a union town. Gentlemen, I had 2 union stores for 20 plus years. I understand working with unions. I understand working with the Teamsters. I understand working with the machinists. Gentlemen, come on in, please. Get your 10 cards right there. Grab those. I got 2 hot seats reserved for you right here. Come on up now. Don't be sitting in that back row. That's a bad place to sit. I'll pick one.
That's okay.
All right. Hey, we got any parts managers in here? Everybody ever been a parts manager? Yeah, okay. If I'm a used car manager and I got $75,000 worth of used cars sitting out there for 12 months, see, he's laughing at me. That's absurd, isn't it? There's not a dealership in this room that's got a vehicle car who's sitting on the pavement for 12 months. What does a dealer want? I want a 45-day turn. You better be under 60 if you're not a used car manager here. But you go across the demarcation line back to the parts department, and we find 75 grand sitting on the shelf collecting dust. I say to the dealer, why do you have $75,000 of frozen capital back there called obsolete parts? He says, Don, you don't understand, he's a nice guy, he's going to sell it someday. Can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Mickey's going to sell it someday, he's a good guy. I'm sure his mother loves him. I'm sure his kids think he's great. That's got nothing to do with obsolete parts.
He's about to be obsolete.
Yeah, he's already obsolete, probably. Is that 75 still worth 75? Maybe what, 30, 35 cents on the dollar if you're lucky. If I'm a general sales manager and the best I can do is run a 10% closing ratio on my showroom floor, I'm closing 1 out of every 10 ups. What do you suppose is going to happen to me on that deal, Glenn? I'm probably heading down the road. If I'm a service director wanting 60% one item ROs, Peter said he's a good guy now, my customers love him. So these are just the examples. This doesn't mean that these people over here are bad people. It doesn't mean that they're incompetent. It doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. What it means is we need to hold them accountable to a higher standard. Every dealership represented in this room has accountability standards for their sales and F&I departments. All of you do. Guaranteed. So let's start doing the same thing in our shop. We do this with our technicians. I can assure you that most of you in here are holding your technicians accountable. It's called flat rate. But we got to start holding everybody accountable for performing the duties that we hired them to perform. Where I told you that we've been losing customers, so where have they gone? Well, since the 1960s, the aftermarket has doubled in size every 5 years. So that being said, understand that your fellow competitor is not the other Ford dealer in town, it's not the other Chevrolet dealer in town. Your number one competitor in the St. Louis market, or wherever market you're from, is the aftermarket service facilities. Let's take a look at them. There's over 150,000 of them and growing. Growing. In the last 3 years, our offices are in Columbus, Ohio. In the last 3 years, within 10 minutes of my office, in the last 3 years, we have had 4 aftermarket service facilities built from the ground up, scratch. 4 of them. 3 of them are on the exact same intersection facing one another. So if I want to take my car back to the dealer that I leased it from, I have the privilege of driving 30 minutes each way in traffic to get there. If I want to go to the aftermarket, I can be there in 5 minutes. Who's the most convenient? Obviously, we got 150,000 of them we're competing with, and the number's higher than that now. That's an old number. It continues to grow. All right? So, you want some good news? Well, Zig Ziglar says, congratulations, you folks have the perfect processes to get you exactly what you got last year. What's he telling us, Jason?
Keep on repeating the same thing, get the same results.
Yeah, you keep on doing the same thing and we'll get the same results. Thank you so much for being here, driving all the way over from Danville, Illinois, is it? Appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. Have we met before? Carmack. Boy, that name's familiar.
Been around for 40 years.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe the NADA convention or something, I'm not sure. The name sounds awfully familiar. Okay? So understand, every single year for the last decade, we've been losing market share. Every year. Right now, today, in 2016, new car dealers in America's market share of the parts and service industry is at an all-time record low. You don't know that? We have the smallest market share in the 100-year history of our industry. It's about 20%. These guys, aftermarket's got 80%. It's time to get serious, as Mr. Ellman said, it's time to get serious about service absorption.